Hello, today we're going to be looking at this tiny little DIY synth module, the Amy board. Here's a little preview of what's coming up. So what actually is the Amy board? Well, it's a minimal and very affordable $29 Arduino-based synth board. It combines the processor with USB connectivity, an SD card slot, and a bunch of useful I/O. So that includes digital audio, MIDI, analog audio, and a couple of CV in-outs. And as you might have guessed based on that, it's designed to be integrated into a Eurorack modular system, and that's what we're going to be doing later. On the software side, it runs the Amy libraries, which enable you to use oscillators and samples in very powerful ways. For example, out of the box, it has a bunch of Juno 6 and DX7 patches that you can use straight away. Everything you would expect is there in the libraries: vanilla wavetable oscillators, LFOs, FM, sample support, sequencing, and even some basic effects. In fact, the library came first, and you can use it on a variety of hardware platforms, but they put the board together as the ideal way to run the library. Before we get into the Eurorack installation, let's check out how you can use it standalone. You can just plug the thing directly into a computer with a USB-C cable and then send data to it via MIDI SysEx, or you can do it via a REPL using MicroPython. Let's have a go with that. From the diagram on the Amy site, you can see the hierarchy of elements involved in making a sound. So a synth contains voices and a voice contains oscillators. We can create a synth with 4 voices. That means it'll have 4 voice polyphony. It'll be able to play 4 notes at once. And then each of those voices will have 2 oscillators. If you were doing something like a Juno voice, you'd want more, but we're doing something much simpler here. So now we've got our synth, we can get one of the oscillators to play a sine wave, starting at 440 Hz and adjusted by the note frequency. Pretty standard behavior. We can send it a note on, and one of the voices will be used to make a sound. We can send that again at 0 velocity, and that signals a note off. If we had a release stage to our amplitude envelope, that would kick in now. One of the synths, number 10 by default, is set up as a PCM oscillator, so one that plays samples. And it's got a bunch of patches already set up, and those patches are designed for drum samples. Here we can use the built-in sequencer support. It lets us specify an offset, a period, and a tag. So 0, 48, 10 here means at 0 offset from the 48th tick, it should play a note, which corresponds to a sample. And creating a few of these tag sequences, that will give you a simple drum pattern. Here's the Amy board in situ in the rack. The main input is the MIDI connection from the Hermod Plus, and that's being used for sequencing and modulation using MIDI CCs. But I've also got direct control over some MIDI parameters using the fader. It can send CV and I2C if you need to, but here it's internally connected to the Expert Sleeper's tiny MIDI breakout, and that's then going into the Hermod Plus and being combined with its data before ending up at the Amy board. That's all happening on MIDI channel 1, which is going into track 1 here, and I can set that up to be MIDI through. Not really related to Amy, but I've also got some self-modulation going on here. So the CV output of track 1 on the Hermod is going back into it to modulate some of the effect parameters. This is to get around the fact that we haven't got some internal routing. Then ultimately that goes back out over MIDI into the Amy. The audio out from Amy is in stereo via a TRS cable. I've changed a jumper on the back of the board to output modular level signal, and then I'm splitting the stereo signal into individual channels to go into the data. The data is just displaying it, visualizing it and passing it through, and then the signal goes via the FX aid and out into the mixer. So the only actual sound source here by the effects is the Amy. So there we go. This is certainly value for money. You're getting a powerful synth engine as well as a fully programmable CV generator or modifier and a DSP platform, albeit a basic one. I'm going to add a screen and encoder onto mine to see how it copes and how usable it is as part of a performance rack. So that'll be an interesting test. Processor wise, this isn't really in the same league as say the Disting NT, but I guess at this price point you could get a few of them and combine them. It might also be nice to have a separate breakout so you could output separate audio paths and maybe more CV. But I'm definitely having fun with this. The next project is going to be to try and do some serum-style bass lines with a bit of compression and distortion. So that'll be a test of what it can do DSP wise. Let me know if you've got one of these and what you've done with it, or if you're planning to get one and what you'd like to do with it. It'd be interesting to hear what people are planning. Thanks for watching. See you next time.